What is up, everybody, and welcome back to Pigskin Blitz podcast. My name is Jay. We have a very special episode today. This is actually going to be one of the first episodes that will be re-recorded as a podcast on my channel. We have an awesome interview scheduled today with a good buddy of mine who runs a YouTube channel called LoneStar's Lounge. This guy is absolutely fantastic. He's been at it since 2018. So we're going to bring him up here in just a second. Let me pop through chat here really quick. Jenna, how we doing? Thank you for coming in. I appreciate you very much. Who else we got? Gamer. Yeah. Sorry about the air raid siren, Gamer, but you know, it's just fun. It was just fun. What's up, Jeremy? How we doing, buddy? All right. So we are going to go ahead and bring my buddy up to come hang out, and we're going to find out a little bit about him and a little bit about what he does. So let's go ahead and bring him on. What is up, sir?
Oh, man. Happy Sunday to you.
Yes, it is. It's been a good day, man. It's been a busy day. I've been running around doing a whole lot of stuff today. So this is gonna be a lot of fun, man. I've really been looking forward to doing this interview. Like I said, you've done a lot for me to help me kind of get where I'm at right now. So I wanted to kind of pick your brain a little bit and kind of share a little bit with my viewers and my listeners a little bit about you, kind of where you went, like came from, how you started, what you did. So. Let's just go ahead and start it off. Tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of, you know, where you're at, where you're from, and we'll go from there.
Gotcha. Well, first things first, I am going to get my mind right here a little bit. I'm going to enjoy a nice Lone Star beer.
There you go.
And I'll show you the fancy glassware here in just a second. Compliments of my friends Pigskin, Blitz, and Blue Farm. Into my own custom glass mug, so why not drink a Lone Star out of a Lone Star glass? So let me
go.
Whoa, I just demolished that. I ruined that, but I'll get that sorted out in a minute. So a little bit about me. I started my channel in 2018. That was back when I was living in Florida. I had a buddy that lived down the street from me. He has started a YouTube channel in the 420 community. And I wanted to learn what he was doing. It looked like a lot of fun. He was doing live streams. He was posting videos about what he was doing with his plants and everything. And I was like, hey, why not start a channel and kind of jump on the bandwagon a little bit. Right. So my channel originally started off as Suncoast Smoker. Okay. I lived in the Suncoast of Florida, so Suncoast Smoker was my original name. Okay. Upon leaving Florida due to a family emergency or family, disaster is what I call it, because it really was a disaster. I moved back to Texas to take care of my mom. When I moved back, I still kept the smoker, but it was Lone Star Stoner at the time. Then I realized, you know what? It's not really legal here to do in Texas, so I had to change it because obviously I didn't want to give out the bad vibes. Hey, it's illegal. Right. Why are you doing it? And have people looking for me. So one of my 420 buddies, he reached out to me and goes, hey, why don't you just change it to Lone Star beer reviews and just do beer reviews? And I said, okay, sounds like a plan. So in 2021-ish, I I changed it to Lone Star's Beer Review or Lone Star Beer Reviews. And I realized I'm not that great at beer reviews. I can drink the beer. I enjoy the beer. I love the beer, but I can't pick out the malts. I can't pick out, I mean, I just drink the stuff. I don't really review it very well. So I dropped that moniker, and with some help from the current YouTube community, they helped me create Lone Star's Lounge, and I will give that credit to Twister Art Lady who came up with that particular name. A lot of good names were thrown at me. I figured Lone Star's Lounge would be a good stick because it opened my channel up to a variety of things, not just beer reviews. And so I've taken that and I've done spicy challenges. I've done football watch-alongs. I've done soccer watch-alongs. I've done food reviews. I've done grilling on my channel. So it's kind of just opened my channel up. And yeah, I think it's here to stay. And I enjoy having that open space to kind of put my stuff out there. So.
Okay. All right. So when you first started out, were you embarrassed or at any point or shy to tell people what you did? Was it kind of a thing where you just jumped in with both feet and went along with it? Or was it was there an adjustment period when you first started actually getting into doing the live streams and all that stuff?
When I first started doing the live streams, back in 2018, when I first started my channel, I did jump onto a couple of live streams. So it got my, I was able to, see what it was like and get the familiarity with, being able to conversate with people on the panel and also conversate with the people in the chat. That was the hardest thing because I kept focusing strictly on the panel and not looking over at the chat. And I realized through the time, if you ignore the chat, then you're going to lose your content. You're going to lose your viewers because they're here to support you. And they're here to support what you do. So being able to communicate with the chat as well. I was never embarrassed about what I did. There were some growing pains. Like I said, learning to deal with the chat, learning to deal with the panel and not getting the two mixed up because they do go hand in hand because the chat reacts to what you say on panel. So
yeah. So that kind of leads into my next question, kind of like looking back on everything that you've done, your first videos that you put out to what you're doing now. What would you have done differently, or if you could go back and tell your old self something to kind of get you in a better direction, maybe what would that have been?
It's a funny question because I can take this in many directions. If I could say self, what would you have done differently than what I did now? One, I'll probably. Because growing up, I've learned to be somewhat gullible. That sucks for me because I give in. I'm very gullible at times. I've done some things on panels where I kind of regret. I guess you could say I'm not going to get into it. Some of the people in the chat know what I'm talking about, but like the main thing besides the funny thing that I would have done differently is back whenever I first started with YouTube, I never created thumbnails. I never got creative. I put a couple words on a picture and let it ride. I wasn't trying to get creative. And I've learned through the years that the more creative your thumbnail is, the more likely someone is going to come to your channel and see what's behind that thumbnail.
Yep.
So that is one thing that I would have definitely done differently, opposed to just using just a normal bland picture of me with a beer in my hand or something like that.
Right. But again, that's kind of a learning curve too. Like when I first started, it was the same thing. I'd make little thumbnail and then that'd be it. And now, I mean, I spent 2 hours this morning, doing nothing but that. You know what I mean? Doing it, getting it right, making it look good, making sure that things popped and things stood out, so that when, like you said, when somebody sees that thumbnail, they're like, oh, that somebody put time into that. I'm gonna go check out what they got to say.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Because, I mean, that's my click rate. Like, whenever I'm on my phone, I get videos that pop up that I'm not even subscribed to. But it's all about the thumbnail. If the thumbnail is boring or it doesn't catch my eye, I typically won't go look at that video. But if they have a very detailed thumbnail and what the topic is about, whether it be an interview, whether it be a sports cast, whether it be whatever the case may be, if it's a good thumbnail, I want to see what's behind that thumbnail. I want to see what content that they're providing. I want to see their creativity on the video itself as well.
Right. Awesome. So what is your favorite thing about doing YouTube? Like, what is your favorite thing that has just kind of stood out over the years that you've done it that makes you keep doing what you're doing?
One, it has helped me become very humble in my approach on what I'm doing. The constructive criticism, the negative comments, things like that. That has done a lot for me, because I used to just be kind of like, whatever goes. And it's taught me to be real humble. Also, growing a community and getting to know people outside of YouTube. We have a big community. YouTube is a massive community upon little smaller communities. But I've actually built relationships with a lot of people that I have met on YouTube. I've met people from YouTube. And that's what I will always take away from YouTube, is having that everlasting friendship.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree too. I think that's a big piece of it. The communities and the camaraderie and everybody that comes together to support everybody. I think that's a huge piece to why we're all doing the way we're doing, why we're all continuing to gain subscribers and doing the things we need to do on our channels, is because we all help each other. We all work together. We're not looking at it as, we're competition. We're not looking at it as, oh, you're taking views away from me. You're taking airtime away from me. It's more, no, I'm going to take my viewers and I'm going to send them your way, and you're going to do the same thing for me. And that's just that give and take that you get out of the community. And I think that's a huge piece of it.
And it's like, for me, a lot of people who know me know that I'm a very big advocate for ALS. If you don't know what ALS is, it's Lou Gehrig's disease. It's what Lou Gehrig died of. It's a muscle. It attacks all your muscles, and it makes you just become a vegetable. You can't move, can't eat, can't do any of that stuff. My mom unfortunately had that, so I'm a big advocate for that. And every year for ALS Awareness Month, I always have some type of donation drive. And the fact that some people may not even know what ALS is, will still donate to help my cause. And that's been a great help. I mean, you're not helping me. All this money, it does go to the Texas ALS Association, but the fact that people will help and donate to support my cause is amazing.
Yeah. And that sucks to hear that, man. I mean, honestly, my cousin, we just recently lost my cousin to ALS, maybe 6 months ago. So I'm right there with you on that bandwagon. We've done fundraisers for them. We've done all sorts of stuff for them in honor of, my cousin's passing. So that's something that I'm also very, very big into as well, because I've lived through it. I've watched what it does to people, and it's absolutely miserable. I mean,
last year I did the ice bucket challenge last year, because if you're not familiar with the ice bucket challenge, when you dump a cold bucket of ice water on you, ice that's been sitting in that bucket, it makes that water extremely cold. The purpose of this challenge, it was created by Pete Alfredi's. He was a Boston College baseball player, and he had ALS. And when you dump that bucket of cold water on you, all your muscles tense up and you can't move. And that's the effects of that's. And I did my first collab last year with the ALS Bucket Challenge with JV Outdoors. I challenged everybody to do it. A couple people did a video. I know Groovy's going to do one this year. I know Ojisan's going to do one.
We're doing it again this year too. Yeah.
I would like to keep that collab going, and every year on ALS month, I would like to grow that a little bit more and have more people on panel to do that. And we raise funds. Like I said, I raise funds for the Texas ALS Association. I could post links for, where everybody on the panel lives for their ALS association for their state. So I think that's something that I really want to start working on to get the awareness out there.
Yeah, no, like I said, I agree with that. I do come from a military family as well, so the Wounded Warrior Project is another one that I try to help out as much as possible as well. So, like I said, they're good causes, and like I said, in a community like this, getting the word out and getting people involved is not hard. It's very easy. You just kind of you put the word out there, and you find good people, and you end up doing these things that bring awareness, and maybe even bring a little bit of funding and money for the people that need the research and all the stuff they're trying to do for it. Because I mean, it's hard to watch somebody go through that. It is. I mean, my cousin was to the point at the very end of his life. He's like, you know what? I just want to go. He's like, I'm tired of being a burden on everybody, because that's all he felt like was a burden.
And it's a lot of money too.
Yeah,
that is easy. If you're not familiar with it, again, look it up. But families shell out thousands upon thousands upon thousands of money for wheelchairs, for wheelchair vans, the equipment. I mean, granted, there are grants and things out there to provide some of this stuff for free, but still, insurance will only cover so much before it then becomes a burden on the families who are taking care of that family member. And I've seen people go bankrupt and homeless because they were helping a family member through ALS. And it's sad.
My aunt put $15,000 into renovating their house because they had to widen hallways, they had to widen doorways, they had to put a ramp in the front for his wheelchair to get in and out. I mean, they had to spend about 15 grand just to get the house livable for him. So it's a lot. It's a lot. It really is. So we're definitely going to have to talk more about that later for sure, because I want to get together with you and do something, because that'd be fantastic. I am trying to set up a 24-hour charity stream, and I think that might be something that we can definitely work on together and maybe get something set up and see if we can bring some help to the people that are dealing with it and the families that are supporting them. So
absolutely.
So
and thank you, everybody in the chat. I do see the kind words. So thank y'all very, very much for all the kind words that y'all are saying. It's not going unnoticed for sure.
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for coming in. Kimberly, Kathy, love you, lady. Dustin popped in. Groovy, how we doing, buddy? Thanks for coming in, man. Nikki's hanging out in the other room, so she's in here kind of lurking. Cindy popped in. How we doing, Cindy? Thanks for coming in. Chris from Cosmic Cultivators, thank you for coming in, buddy.
I want to say my singing is glorious, people. Don't hate on my singing.
Yeah. So what do you, all right, so here's something that we all deal with. Okay, like I said, you've been doing this for a few years now. I've been doing it for a few months now. Okay, but we're both still dealing with it, and that is the negative or nasty commenters, or the negative or nasty, people that come into your chat that are just toxic. And the question I have for you is not necessarily what do you do about that, but how do you handle that, not only in your live stream or on a comment on your videos in that moment, and then how do you handle it as a whole? Like, do you just how do you handle those moments? Because you get a lot, and we all see it, and everybody does. And so I just kind of want to know kind of how you work through that.
So I pretty much give everybody the benefit of the doubt. I've had some toxic commenters. I have to take a step back and look and say, hey, okay, not everybody is nice. Not everybody is, going to leave a genuine comment. They'll leave a comment, yes, but not be very nice and genuine about it. So I have to take a look back and say, okay, I don't know this person's situation. But then if it starts getting to the point to where I don't stand for racism at all.
Yep.
If it's racist, CSI Nora, I don't have time for it. If it's cutting down another channel, bye. I won't deal with it. Yep. But I agree. And that's on comments on videos, because there's a lot that are held because of either the capitalization or words, whatever. So I have to go and check those out and unhide them and all that good stuff. But I mean, I've seen some bad stuff. I'll let it be. It's a comment, but if it's not directed at somebody, if it's directed toward me, I don't care. But if it's directed at somebody or does something with racism, I will not stand for it. I'll delete the comment and I'll block them on my channel. Yep. As far as live streams go, the same way. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. I mean, I've had some interesting individuals. I'm not going to call them toxic, but interesting. Right. And I've seen some things behind the scenes from some people, and I don't agree with them. So the way I've dealt with that is I don't call them out. I won't say their name. Right. Either I'll remove them from the channel and block them, or if they've tried to come up on panel, I'll block them as well, because I don't want an uncomfortable situation. You see my live streams. I manage my live streams in my opinion, very well. I don't let it get to the drama point. I don't let it get out of hand. Yeah. If I see some stuff going down that should not be going down, things are being said. If there's a battle that's not fun back and forth and it gets serious and very rude, I'll shut it down immediately. I'll remove both people from either the panel or the chat, and then let the stream carry on. But I will not say a name. I'll never call somebody out unless I need to say, hey, stop. And some people in the chat have seen me have to deal with some of those types of issues. I don't know if they would say I've handled them well, but I think I've done what I needed to do in that instance. So
and sometimes in that moment it's kind of hard too, because you're trying to do something, you're trying to, you're already involved in your stream and doing what you're doing, and then you just have these these comments that, and honestly, like you were saying, is that chat, talking to chat and communicating with chat is a huge part about your live streams. Making sure that they're staying engaged, because they're the ones that are watching your stream. So if they're not engaged with what's going on, then all of a sudden their interest goes somewhere else. Now, if somebody comes in and starts putting all this stuff into chat like that, that can do the exact same thing. It can get people to leave your channel because they're like, oh, well, he's allowing this to happen. You're watching it happen, and now they're going to walk away from that and go somewhere else. Mm-hmm. So I think the ability to kind of control your streams and manage the comments and the stuff that you're going to get, I mean, it's going to happen. It's inevitable on YouTube, unfortunately. I wish it wasn't, because it'd make life a lot easier when you're doing your live streams to just be able to do what you're doing and not have to worry about it. But being able to handle it properly, I think, is the best.
And the thing is, it is YouTube. We're a small pod of a big world, and we're all not the same. We're all different, thank goodness. It's just how you deal with the differences. Somebody's funny may not be somebody else's funny. So you just kind of have to understand that and say, okay, I'll let it go. But if I start to see comments that are a little bit off, then I will not tolerate it. Like I said, racism and hatred, I will not deal with. Nope. But you're muted. Yeah.
So I do have baby chicks over there, Jenna. So if you do hear chirping in the background, that is what you're hearing. They're very loud and obnoxious, but they're fun. So for somebody who's coming in to do this, somebody who wants, who wakes up one day and they're like, I'm gonna start a YouTube channel. I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna put myself out there and I'm gonna do it. What is the best piece of advice that you could give somebody that is brand new to doing YouTube?
Stick with who you are. Stick with what you know. Grow off of YouTube, meaning if you're not sure how to do something, I know right now OBS is a hot topic.
Right.
A lot of people want to learn OBS. I had no idea about it. I saw one of our friends, Micah, using OBS. I was like, that looks cool. That looks fun. I want to utilize it. And so I started to watch videos on YouTube to figure out what I did. Use YouTube to your advantage. There's videos for practically every single thing out there.
Yep.
But the main thing is, if you start a YouTube channel, stay true to who you are. Don't try to be somebody you're not. Stay as humble as you possibly can. Because the minute you come off as being just an, arrogant, whatever, you're going to lose viewers, because people don't want to just see somebody just being arrogant and all that good stuff. So stay true to who you are.
Got you. And then for you, when you do your, you did beer reviews, you did stuff like that. So when you're putting out videos, I mean, how long? I mean, are you doing videos immediately? Does it take you, a few hours to do the editing process, or I mean, is it pretty quick for you to turn videos out and get those going, or is it a longer process?
I have OCD. I am very obsessive of making everything perfect. Even in my apartment, some people have seen my apartment, everything has a place. And the same thing with editing. I'm learning Filmora, whereas before I was just using the Windows video editor, which there's not very much editing things you can do in there.
Right.
So I've gone to Filmora. I've actually paid for the subscription. I've paid for Epidemic Sound to be able to put music in my videos. For some people, Filmora is very easy to use.
Right.
For me, it's been a learning curve. Making sure that everything is right on track. I want the music beats to sync up with what I'm doing. Sometimes it doesn't work that way. And putting different pictures up there, because like in my videos, granted, it's a very straightforward review, but I do try to make it funny based on the editing. I try to, or if it's like a mail call, I'll definitely try to shout out every single channel that, if I got mail from somebody and all that good stuff. So,
right.
Groovy. But, yeah, just,
So then if somebody came to you and they were brand new into YouTube, and they posed and they asked you a question, and they literally asked you this question exactly: why do you think it's worth going into doing online videos with all of the people that are out there doing it already?
It's your platform. It's your channel. It's you put up what you want to put up, whether if one person likes it or 10,000 people like it. It's your platform. You do what you think is fun. What you may post as a video and be awesome. I may not think the same way, but it's your world. It's your universe. It's your channel. Don't try to be like someone else. The way I always say is don't copycat someone, but
Right.
take an idea that they do and make it into your own. Like I said, this is your platform. You showcase your talents, your abilities, whatever you want to showcase.
That's actually a good point. Like I said, it's one person or 10,000 people. You've reached one person, and that one person that liked your video or watched your video, you either may have helped them or may have, they've specifically found that video for a reason, whether they're a subscriber or not. That video they clicked on and watched it for a reason. And those are the people that you want, because you don't want 1,000 ghost subscribers. You don't want 1,000 people that are just sitting there not watching your content and not doing anything, because that almost hurts your channel just as much as having 300 and having all of those 300 watching all your. I'd rather have 300 subscribers and have all the watch hours from those 300 people, and instead of having 1,500 and you've only got 300 watching your stuff. You know what I mean? So that's what I want. Like I always tell people, like, look, don't subscribe to my channel just to subscribe to my channel. Watch my content. If you like what I'm doing, subscribe. I got more stuff coming. You know what I mean? Like, if you like what I'm doing, then stay around. But I don't believe in the ghost subscribers that are just going to pop in and then they're just there. Well, they don't really serve a purpose.
It's like me. A lot of people will look at the analytics and go, okay, I have 1,000 subscribers. I want at least 10% of those people in my live streams. I don't do that.
Yeah.
If someone's not interested in a football watch along that I do, then don't come there, because I don't want to make you miserable by watching it. I mean, granted, if I'm having fun and you're having fun with people in the chat and you want to be there, be there. But if I'm doing a live stream and you don't want to be there, then don't be there. But, I would like to see as many people as possible. But, I understand that some things that I do are not for everybody. So I don't even look at numbers. I don't say, hey, I didn't get 10% of my subscribers in my chat. I don't, the numbers don't matter as long as I have a good family on panel and in chat and we're all having fun. Yeah. That's all that matters to me. It could be 2 people, 10 people, 500 people, as some of y'all have seen on some of the watch alongs that have blown my mind. As long as I have fun doing it, I want the audience to have as much fun as I am. Exactly.
And that's what it's about. We're entertainers, we're here to, somebody wants to come watch you, you know what I mean? And that's the whole point, is you're putting out something that somebody is interested in and wants to come hang out with you and wants to spend their time on your live stream. And so that's why I'm saying, like, involving the chat and doing all those things you're talking about are huge. I mean, absolutely huge, because you're going to get those people to come back, and then they're going to tell their friends, and then their friends are going to come. You know what I mean? Like, that's just kind of how it works. Mm-hmm. So is there anyone in particular that you want to kind of partner with on an episode or on a live stream that you do? Like anybody, it could be anybody. I mean, like anybody that you would really like either want to interview on your channel or just come up and hang out with you for a live stream or something like that.
Good question. Since I've started doing the football watch-alongs, I'm starting to get a lot of different sports channels popping up on my news feed. There's a couple of them that I watch. They know a lot more about the football. They look into the draft aspects, the analytical into the players' statistics and all that. I don't look that deep into it. I mean, during the game, I'll say, hey, what they did for the last game, and then what they've done during this game. But I don't dig deep into their stuff. So there's a lot of people, Law Nation, he's a big Cowboy fan. Tom Grossi, he's a big Packers fan. He has a big sports podcast, and I forgot his first name, but something Magruder. He does the Cowboy. He makes fun of the Cowboys each and every game. He's a big Cowboy fan, but he's hilarious. He's like a comedian. He does little, 30-second videos of like the moments he's watching the game, about the highs, the lows, and he's actually pretty funny. But and these people have millions of subscribers. I think it would be interesting to get their ideas on how they started, why they started. It's kind of like what we're doing here. But as of our community, there's so many people that I would love to get to know, why they did what they're doing. Even if you have a channel or don't have a channel, why did you decide to get a YouTube? Why did you decide to become part of different communities and things of that nature?
Gotcha. Exactly. And like I said, I've watched a bunch of your watch-alongs. I've been a part of one of your watch-alongs, and they're a lot of fun, man. They really are.
Mm-hmm.
And they do have a big draw on them too, especially in that community too. There's a lot of people that want to sit there and watch and have somebody to kind of bullshit and hang out with while they're watching a football game.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that's
even if the game's on TV, they'll still. Yeah. I mean, I've had people come into my chat and say, "Hey, I'm watching the game on TV right now, but your commentary, your enthusiasm,
right,
is better than the commentary on TV."
Yeah.
So they'll listen to me, but watch the game on TV, and
yeah,
and I think that as a massive compliment. Like, I mean, granted, I'm no, John Madden, rest in peace. I'm no Al Michaels or whatever.
Right.
I just try to have as much fun as I possibly can and engage. And I try to put up a performance. Like, you've seen me use OBS, putting scores down, having little things pop up when teams score, just trying to add that different little element to where it's more entertaining, to listen and watch me than it is to listen to the commentators.
Right. And again, that's the whole point. You're creating that draw to your channel, regardless of what's on TV, regardless of what else is on. People want to come watch what you're doing. Speaking of football, I wanted to talk Cowboys football with you a little bit because the last Cowboys game was a little rough, man. So I was looking in, I was reading a bunch of articles about kind of where they're going as far as next year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've got some big names that are going to be free agents here soon. So the Cowboys are going to have to shell out some money. I mean, it's going to happen. They're going to have to cut. They're going to have to cut some people. They're going to have to rework it in order to stay under the salary cap. So what are your thoughts as far as the offseason and what Jerry Jones and everybody over there is going to kind of gear themselves for as far as next year goes?
Well, obviously, Jerry Jones, if you're a Cowboys fan or if you even know the smallest little bit of Cowboys football, you know that every single year Jerry Jones is like, we have the best team. We're going to get to the Super Bowl. A Super Bowl or bust for him. Cowboys have not been into a Super Bowl since 94. We have not been to a conference championship since 94.
Right.
I mean, it's been a disaster for a long time. We like this year we had the team to go farther, but our team was wish-washy. Someday we played good, we put up 40 or 50 points on somebody. Next game we can't, fight away out of a paper bag. So any given Sunday, the Cowboys look, good or bad. They're never consistent. With free agency, yes, there's a lot of big name starters, that everyday players that are on that free agency board. Cedric Wilson, Michael Gallup, there's tight ends, there's offensive linemen, defensive linemen, there's cornerbacks, there's safeties that were big, intricate parts of our team this year. And if Jerry Jones did not have to deal with the salary cap, he would sign every single one of them. He would go bankrupt to make sure he got to the Super Bowl. That's just the way he is. But obviously, NFL has a salary cap, and you cannot go over that, or you get penalized and you lose draft picks and all that good stuff. So you have to be very careful about who you sign, and you have to look into statistics and say, okay, was this player performing on a consistent basis, doing what he did? Or was he kind of mediocre or whatever? So they have to take a look at all that. there's some big names that I would love to see signed, but I have a feeling not all those big names will be signed. We got Coach McCarthy for one more year. And as you heard, Sean Payton just retired from the Saints, New Orleans Saints.
Yep.
And for Sean Payton started off with the Giants as an offensive coordinator, then moved over to the Cowboys as an offensive coordinator, and that's where he gained all his momentum to become a head coach because he was a great OC for the Cowboys. Right. And so he went over to the Saints. He was there for 16 years, took him to a Super Bowl with Drew Brees, won the Super Bowl, many playoff runs, and he just has a very interesting system on how he does things. And Jerry Jones and Sean Payton have a good line of communication. And my thought is, sign some players for next year, let McCarthy run out his contract, try to bring in Sean Payton. And
I think one of the biggest things, and I've heard this from a bunch of Cowboys fans, I think one of the biggest things that the Cowboys fans kind of have issues when it comes to Jerry Jones is that he needs to get his fingers out of the cookie jar sometimes. He tries to, put his fingers into everybody, all the different departments of the team. And it's like, you hired people to do those jobs for you and manage that for you. So I think there's that conflict between the owners and the managers and the people in the supervisory roles, that sometimes there's some issues and some conflicts that are going on within the Dallas inner staff. And I think a lot of that has to do with, how he reacts and how he interacts with his coaches and his scouts and all the stuff that he does, have all his little fingers in. I think if you kind of just step back a little bit and let them do their job, I think it would flow a little bit easier sometimes. So, I mean, is that something that's fairly accurate, or
that is 100% accurate here in Dallas? And we, all the Cowboy fans have said this. Jerry, be an owner, own your team, own your stadium.
Yeah,
you hire people to be your brains about the team. Don't have your hand in all these other cookie jars, like you said, because the Cowboys have busted on many first-round draft picks. We have busted. Our latest one was Taco Charlton. Bust. We also drafted a cornerback out of UConn. I forgot what his name is. Bust. And these are first-round picks.
Right.
So Jerry has his hands in too much stuff, and it's like, us Cowboy fans in Dallas, we always say, hey, own the team, own the stadium, do all your marketing, whatever, but have your dignity, have people below you do your drafting, do your scouting, don't be so much involved in the team, own it, but let the people who you pay to do the stuff that you want to do, let them do it.
Yeah,
that's their job. That's what you pay them for.
Yeah, you've got high-priced coaches, you've got high-priced, back office people that are there to do that job, and you've got to kind of trust them to do their job and step back and, like you said, be an owner. Go drink a mimosa, sit down. You know what I mean? Relax. You own the team, okay? Just let them do their job to kind of get the team where they need to go.
Yeah. And I think Jerry Jones hinders our performance.
He does.
There's a lot of stress on our team, on our coaches, because you see him whenever the team is playing bad, he goes down on the sideline, and that sideline is completely different than what it was when the game started. He has too much draw into it, and the players don't have that free will to do what they're paid to do. They're always uptight because of what he can do to people. So
and I get that too. And like I said, it's you stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. Do what you do that, and let everybody else kind of handle the day-to-day stuff. What's up, Mojo? Thanks for coming in, buddy. Fulton, thanks for coming in, man. Thank you. But yeah, I mean, so free agency is kind of a tough one, okay? Because when you're talking salary caps and you're talking, high dollar players, my biggest issue with paying a crap ton of money for a few players and then kind of chimping your budget for the rest of the team is that you're going to lose players like Cedric Wilson, who came in after Gallup got hurt at the beginning of the season, put up 602 yards, 6 touchdowns. I mean, this guy was a beast. I mean, he came out and made some catches. I was watching some video on him earlier. He came out and made some catches that, a 5th or 6th year player, would have a hard time making, and he's coming out doing it, 26 years old. He's young, he's gunning. But the problem is then you've also got Amari Cooper. You've got CeeDee Lamb. You've got Michael Gallup. So you've got all these high-priced players that are going to want a big piece of that salary cap. And I guess my question for you is, if you were in a position to, have a say, if you were in a position where you could be like, look, this is what I think, this is where I think the Cowboys should focus and go as far as focus on now and then move towards the offseason, kind of working towards that goal for next season. Where do you think it's got to start somewhere? So where do you think that has to start in Dallas?
I don't know if that is the real Kyler Murray, but Kyler Murray just came in your chat.
That is that's my buddy. That's my buddy.
That is pretty funny. So this would be a perfect scenario, a perfect world. Would it ever happen? No, flat out no. But I take two people. One, I absolutely appreciate what he has done for Dallas. Is Dirk Nowitzki. Dirk Nowitzki was a 21-year veteran, stayed with the same team for 21 years, Dallas Mavericks. I'm a diehard Nowitzki fan. I love what he's done on the floor, off the floor. Great individual. He took pay cuts with the Mavericks so they could bring in other players to build around him. That championship that they won in 2011, that was a big pay cut that he took to bring in all those players and pieces to win that championship. Yeah. I wish football players did this. I know of a couple of them. I'll say one name just because he just retired. Tom Brady's done the same thing in New England. He's actually taken a pay cut so Belichick and their ownership, Kraft, could build a team around him that he thought could go to the Super Bowl.
Right.
When it comes to football, baseball, basketball, I think football players are the most arrogant. They want hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to play this game.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a dangerous game, but I still think hockey is more dangerous. But if some of these players could sit there and say, okay, I'll take a pay cut to bring in a new receiver, or I'll take a pay cut to bring in a better quarterback, or whatever the case may be, that would be awesome. Will it ever happen? It's very rare that it does, but that's something that the owner, if you have a good relationship with the team, that's something that the owner could recommend. If you guys want to have your whole squad back from last year, help me with the salary cap. Take a little bit of a pay cut. Once we win the Super Bowl, then you're free to spread your wings and make as much money as you want.
Right. And like you said, that's not going to happen.
No,
and that's what really kind of bums me out, honestly, about professional sports is that I love watching college ball, okay, because college players are still playing because they love playing the sport. They love doing what they're doing, and they're having fun doing it. Now, I'm not saying that professional players don't have fun doing what they're doing. Yes, there are some out there, but I mean, the problem is that when it comes down to the professional players, it comes down to a dollar amount.
Yeah.
Period. And whether they're going to continue. I mean, shoot, how many players have you seen not play because they didn't get the contract they wanted? How many players have you seen sitting on the bench or waiting to actually come back into the locker room until they can get a deal worked out over a dollar amount?
Yeah. And I mean, just most recently, Zeke Elliott did it. He was sitting out there in cocaine with Cedric Ricky Williams in Cancun or Jamaica, whatever, just shooting the breeze until he got a contract. And I think that's ridiculous. You're paid to do what you do. Granted, in your mind, you think you're worth $100 million, but your performance, you're about $70 million.
Exactly. Well, and that's the thing is that's if we could get a player that is a high dollar player, I'm just going to throw Amari Cooper. Okay. You get Amari Cooper, who's got a pretty substantial contract. Okay. He makes way more money than I would ever see in my entire lifetime. Okay. Lifetime. All right. I think the lowest paid NFL player makes like $300,000 a year or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, are you kidding me? Give me that. I'll take it. You know what I mean?
That's not like a punter or a kicker or something.
Yeah,
that's just like a no name.
Yeah, it's a kicker, no name kicker, but he still makes like $350,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's insane to sit on the bench. You don't even do anything. You know what I mean? Like, you're a backup. So, like I said, you need to take these players and find one that you have on your team that is willing to take that pay cut. that is willing to play for the love of the game again and not worry about the millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars that they're losing when they could actually be helping their team build for the future.
And that's why I like college sports, whether it be basketball, football, baseball, hockey, whatever the case may be, all these big, the big four sports. You're playing for a contract. So they are doing everything they can to be noticed. I've seen them do some amazing things in college, but when they come to the that's actually pretty funny. But when they come to the pros, they stop doing what they did in college. They're like, nope, I'm not taking that risk anymore because now I'm a big name, I'm a big time paid player, so I can kind of skate on by, and I can't stand that. You got drafted, you got paid to do what you did to keep living up to that level. Like example, I'm going to keep going back to Zeke just because before he sat and pouted for this $100 million contract, he was beast moding it. He was better than DeMarco Murray. He was putting up crazy numbers. He got paid and he hasn't done nothing since.
Yep.
These people get paid and they just it's like.
Well, and how many times do you see that happen with the draft? How many times do you see teams, trading players and giving away, future draft picks for one draft pick? They get that draft pick, and the next thing you know, 3 months later, that person's sitting on the bench. They're not even starting anymore because they couldn't, they couldn't do what they needed to do. You know what I mean? And it's just, I don't know. I think that's kind of ridiculous, and I get it. The draft is, you get young talent, but the problem is how often compared to it actually, producing a huge superstar, does that really happen? You know what I mean? I mean, it does to a point, but I mean, the percentage has got to be pretty low. If you look at the overall amount of draft picks every year and the amount of those that are going to go on to have long careers in the NFL, it's got to be pretty low, man. A lot of those guys play for a year or two and then they're done, or they don't even get a shot. I
mean, you look at Tom Brady, number 6 round, 199th pick overall, and now he's a GOAT. Yeah. You have who's playing right now. You have Pat Mahomes. He was number 8 pick overall, and granted, the number 1 pick was a bust. So, I mean, it's kind of a hit or miss on who you draft if they're going to, pan out and be good or not. So,
right. And again, you can't base what's going to happen in the pros on what they did in the college. Yeah, they could have been the, player of the year. They could have won the national title. They could have done all this stuff and put all sorts of great, huge numbers up as a quarterback in the NFL or in college. And then you go to the pros. And Joey Edibles was interviewing a Browns player. I can't remember what Browns player he was interviewing, but I had asked a question in chat and I said, what was the hardest thing about the transition from college to the pros? Mm-hmm. Because it's huge. It's monumental, the amount of things that you have to go through. I mean, yeah, you have press coverage in college. Sure, you got a little bit of it. But when you hit the pros, that triples. If not, I mean, absolutely insane how much you have to go through from college to pros. And a lot of guys can't handle that. So you waste a draft pick on somebody, and then they get into the pros, and you're out all this money. You just signed a contract for a 3-year deal for this guy, and now you've got nothing out of it.
Well, like for football, it's a little bit different because you can be in a college and your playbook be about this. Mm-hmm. You get the pros, your playbook's about like this.
Yeah.
With baseball and basketball, stuff like that, there is no playbook. It's just your God-given talent. One of my favorite players, he was number 1 overall pick, Dansby Swanson for the Atlanta Braves. Absolute stud. He's just as good now in the pros as he was as a college player. And, I said, but for football, it's a little bit different because you have to learn playbooks. I mean, I'm not saying there's a disadvantage there because, hell, you did it in high school. You did it in college. Why can't you do it in the pros? You adjust. But it's just a little bit more of an adjustment period. It's not just your God-given talent. It's learning routes. It's learning plays. It's learning schemes, all that stuff. So it is a little bit of a difference, but still, you've done it your entire life. So,
right. Well, and I think too with the pros, the the travel schedule can be kind of crazy and chaotic because you've got all these giant stadiums you're going to. You're living in hotels. You know what I mean? Like when you're on the road, you're living out of a suitcase.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's a lot for a lot of these guys because you may have one home game and then you're on the road for 3 games before you actually come back to play in your home stadium. Depending on how the schedule worked out that year, then you may have a couple in a row. I mean, it can be a lot on guys to, some of them have families and things like that. So it can be a lot of a big transition. And then you've got TV spots and interviews. I mean, like I said, college has a little bit of that, but in the pros, it's way more than that. It's part of their contracts. They have to interview.
It's amplified.
TV spots. Yeah.
Massively
you're
amplified.
Getting paid to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's hence the reason that Marshawn Lynch showed up and said, I'm just here so I don't get fined. Because if he didn't show up to do his interviews, he was going to get fined by the NFL. So they basically, in your contract, are forcing you to do interviews and TV spots and all these things to promote your team and the NFL. And that can be a lot for somebody coming right out of college. You don't have a lot of that exposure in college that you do in the pros.
Well, what is your thought about the college kids getting paid now with the name, likeness, all that good stuff? They're able to get some type of cut now. Do you think it's going to change the way the athletes look at things? They're going to be like, okay, I'm already getting paid here, so I can just do whatever I want now? Or do you think they're still going to strive to get that bigger paycheck from the professional ranks?
Well, and I think it goes both ways. I mean, I really do. I think that it could be a good thing. I think that it could be a very bad thing. I think that you could basically turn college football into another professional sport where they're getting paid to play. They're still in school. They're getting paid to play. And you're going to start getting guys that lose playing for the love of the game. They lose that drive to play because they love doing it. And now it's just a job. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a big part of it. However, on the other hand, now if you're talking, players getting paid to do stuff, if they've got loans or things like that to pay for the schooling, take it out of that.
True.
You know what I mean? Cut their student loans down. Don't give them cash. Mm-hmm. Cut some of the money they're going to owe back off instead of handing them money.
I agree with that.
A better incentive for college players to then want to finish their degree instead of walking away to go to the pros, because now they're like, oh, well, shoot, I'm getting paid, but it's paying off my school. Now when I do go to the pros, I'm got to pay my school loans back.
Well, typically the college athletes, they're there because of a scholarship. So them paying tuition and loans and all that, if they're on a full ride, they don't have nothing to pay. If you're a number 1 recruit out of the league, you're getting a scholarship. You're not paying a penny.
Yeah.
So some of those players are going to have to, they're going to be given cash, but the people who are not on scholarship, if you put their name and likeness in a video game, you're going to have to pay them. And I agree with you, cut down on some of their tuitions, their student loans.
Yeah.
I think that would be more beneficial because, right. I mean, you start to pay some of these players, these college kids, and they have no idea, they have no inkling to go into the professional ranks. They're going to use that money for stupid stuff, whether it be booze or other stuff that they shouldn't. But
right. Well, and that's the thing too, is that, I mean, you were talking about, the full ride scholarship players that aren't paying for college, and I get that. But here's the deal with that: somebody's paying for it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That full ride scholarship that you got, somebody somewhere is having to shell out money to make sure that you can have that scholarship. Yeah. So therefore, you are making money for your college, and therefore I think maybe the money should go back into the recruiting program for the football program or the recruiting program for the school itself. Instead of going to cash to the players, put it back into the school, put it back towards their student loans, do something that way so that they feel like they're getting something out of what they're doing, but yet they're not losing that drive to want to play just because they love playing. And I think that's what's going to happen. So
true. And I think that's a damn good idea. Like I said, you can't just keep giving these kids money. They're too young. Typically, they don't have an agent. They're just getting this money, and they're like, oh, sweet. What do I go buy now? And they'll go buy cars, or they'll go put a loan. They'll go buy all these diamond necklaces or tattoos, and they'll owe their jeweler or their tattoo artist, thousands of dollars for this big back piece, and they'll never pay them. And then it becomes a lawsuit. Then it becomes a disaster.
Yeah. Or they go out and they spend a whole bunch of money on a car, and then they go out and get drunk one night and wrap it around a telephone pole.
That too.
Now
That
you just
too,
lost
so-
your start. Now you just lost your star player. So the scholarship that you were going to pay him to play for the school is now gone.
Yep.
So, I mean, like I said, I agree that they need to get something out of, or somebody there needs to be some sort of compensation for it. Look, you're going to use my face and you're going to put it on a billboard, or you're going to put it in a video game, and you're going to make millions of dollars. Either no, you're not using my face, find some other chump to do that too, or you're going to give me a piece, or therefore, hey, pay my student loans, or do this. You know what I mean? Like, they should get something out of it, or the school, or however, should get something out of it. Because a lot of the stuff that they're doing, it still has the school logo on it, because they're doing video games where they're playing for that school. So that school is being advertised for in that video game. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, again, there's a lot of issues surrounding that. There's a lot of things that would need to be worked out in order for that to work properly. I think it's going to get to the point where they're just going to start paying these guys, and we're going to be right back to having the professional and then professional light. You're going to have the pros, and you're going to have the pro light, and it's or just the younger version of the pros, and they're not going to be paid as much. But I mean, and who knows? Maybe it'll entice the guys that are playing that end up going to the pros to finish their 4-year their 4-year degree. Because they're like, hey, I'm making some money. I can pay for stuff. I'm not having to worry about going to the pros, so I have no money. I'm making money now. So why don't I just finish my 4-year degree, then go to the pros? So if that doesn't work out, you have something to fall back on. Because a lot of times these guys jump into the pros, they get hurt. Then what? Now your full ride's gone because you didn't finish your school, so you can't go back and get that without paying for it. And now you just lost the 4-year contract you signed for the pros because you hurt your ankle in the first week of practice. Mm-hmm. So
because it's not dieting, it's not training, it's not doing what you need to do to keep yourself healthy. I mean, you look at some of these big players. Some of these guys don't get hurt at all because they protect themselves. They work out. They move their feet the right way. I mean, but some of these players just get lazy and say, "Hey, I'm paid," and they don't think they have to hit the gym. They don't think they can diet. They're all on the side eating freaking Whataburger and Taco Bell and not giving two rats' asses. So
right. Oh man, well, this was fun, man. I'll tell you what. Like I said, I've been looking forward to doing this interview for the last week or so since we set this up. And yes, Kathy, I was paying attention to the beard stroke counter in chat.
I saw it too. That's why I did this and started smiling a little bit.
I did catch that, and I saw you go like this a couple times. I'm like, I'm not losing, man. I'm not losing. I won't lose. I'm not doing it.
I saw it too in the corner of my eye. I was like, oh, here we go. But I didn't want to bring it up. I do want to answer Kathy Bates' question, though, because I don't know if she's being serious or not, but I'm guessing she is being serious. About the England thing, I used to have an ex-stepdad who was from England. He had family there. And so every year, about 2 or 3 times a year, we would travel to England. So that's the farthest I've been over the pond. Like, I've never been to Scotland or anything like that. I've only been to England. That's like the furthest I've ever been. So I have ties to England because of that.
Cool. That's pretty cool. Like I said, I've been to Canada. That's it. That's as far out of the United States as I've gone is Vancouver, Canada. No, that's it. And that was when I was 19 years old, and that was just because I could drink over there at a bar.
There you go. Well, like I say, now that I'm working and everything like that, I do plan on trying to visit some people very soon. The first place that I want to go and is on my radar, and it's been on my radar for quite some time, is Smashville, aka Nashville. I've always wanted to go to Nashville. I've seen a couple YouTubers meet up in Nashville. It's different since the Christmas Day bombing. They've had to kind of rebuild and restructure from that. But just the honky tonks down there, the vibe, the atmosphere, it's just somewhere that I would want to visit. Also, I've always wanted to go visit the Northwest, because I actually thought about living up there. Obviously, I'm not a cold state. I'm not a very cold weather person. I like for it to be warm. I like to sit by the beach. I was born in July. I'm a beach bum, and I think just like living in the Northwest would just be a little bit too cold for my liking.
No, like I said, I love it. I love it up here where I'm at. So it's like I said, it's pretty moderate weather, to be honest with you. Like this time of year, it gets a little bit chilly, but for the most part, it's pretty nice up here. So, but yes, thanks everybody that came in to chat. You guys are awesome. Thank you. What did she say?
Kelly Bates channel when they think of
just yeah, right, yeah, Jenna.
But wow. I do want to say thank you. For the opportunity to be interviewed. I've never been interviewed, so I didn't know how this would go. You did come up with some great questions.
I hope it went well. I prepped for a while.
Yes,
making sure this was going to do well. So,
like I said, you came with some good questions. You've gotten my take on some things. I saw in the chat that some other people had some different views on how I was responding, which, like I said, we're all different. Thank God we are, because and as you start doing more of these interviews, it's going to be interesting to see how other people. I mean, I would keep those questions that you have and ask some other people some of those same questions. You may get surprised, but you have some great questions for how to get started and what to look for and how to handle yourself on YouTube. I said that wrong. I should not have said that. Oh, leave it there. Shut it off, folks.
Oh yeah, let's hope Kathy missed that. I doubt it. She doesn't miss much.
No. There's too many people in here that could not have not missed that. So, but like I said, great job. You came with some big hitters, and I want to thank you for that.
Yeah, no, like I said, man, it was fun. I've been looking forward to doing this. And I'm going to be doing a lot more of these. We're going to be doing a lot more interviews. Kyler Murray, the guy who was in chat, that is my good buddy, Tim. He's down in Arizona. I'm trying to get his ass up here.
Well, I know he's in Arizona. Literally.
Yeah, he is the other half of Pigskin Blitz podcast. So when we actually do our podcast live, he will be my co-host up there with me. We got a lot of crazy stuff that is going to happen once we get our podcast rolling. We're going to do live streams on YouTube. I'm also over on Anchor. So if you have the Anchor podcast app, you can check me out over there. This interview will be, as soon as I can get it off of YouTube and get it moved over there, this will be on Anchor for everybody to listen to over there as well. So next week on Sunday, please tune in 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Joey Edibles with the STD podcast will be here for a live Q&A with me as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun, man. Like I said, today was great. Thank you so much for coming up and hanging out, man. And
absolutely, man.
I can't wait to do more stuff with you in the future for sure. I know I'm doing a pre-party for Drunk Philosophers here in a little while. But once we can get some shit rolling, man, I think you're going to see some crazy things coming out of Pigskin Blitz here pretty soon. And then in the next year, a lot of things are coming up. A lot of crazy things.
I would love to collab with you a little bit more. Obviously, my big thing is the ALS. I think we really need to try to do a little bit of research on that, and either for the Wounded Warriors and ALS, I would definitely be willing to support you on the Wounded Warriors because that's a great organization as well. So, man, let's work on some things and let's do this, man. You guys are great. Love you guys.
Yes, yeah. Again, thanks, man, so much for coming up. We really appreciate it. Hey, ladies, see how we doing? We're actually going to go ahead and shut this down right now. I do have to prep. I got a couple hours before my next live stream, so I got to go get a few things done before then. Chad, appreciate you, buddy. Love you, brother. Man. Thank you so much for coming up. Everybody in the chat, thank you for hanging out with us. And let's get out of here on the gamer intro. All right, guys, take it easy, and we'll catch you on the flip side.